All right. Okay, I want to let everybody know about our holiday party and membership meeting, which is December the 6th. So if you're a member, be sure and sign up for that. We'll want to know ahead of time that you're coming, because we usually have a pretty good sized turnout for those meetings. It's going to be at the Fayette County Extension Office, where we had our March membership meeting. And so be looking for that news in the newsletter. It's from 12 until 2, so it won't be as long as the March meeting, because we trying to combine too much going on in that meeting. So it's just going to be a 2-hour meeting. We will have fun and games, and hope that you all can come and celebrate the holidays with us. We're also going to have some bylaws presented and some changes to the bylaws, which we will need to be voted on. Now, if you are a member already, you are fine. You just need to have been a member for 30 days prior to the time of the meeting in order to vote on the bylaws. Okay, so that's a little bit of information on that. If you're not a member, you can join and be a member. If you're for 30 days prior, you can still vote. So that would be by November the 6th. And if you're not, if you want to sign up at that time to become a member, you can still come to the meeting. You just, wouldn't be able to vote. That's all, but still have fun and games with us.
They just have to be paid for this year, not next year. Just so they're.
Yes, but if you pay now, you're a member
next year
for this year and next year. Yeah. So if you pay October, November, or December of this year, you are a member for this year as well as for next year. So yeah. Is that clear? Sure. Yeah, but our dues, we will be accepting dues payments, which will be for 2024. Maybe that's as clear as I can make it. Okay. Yeah, so this is our last lunch and learn for the year, but we have the membership meeting, as I mentioned, and we have community outing for November, which is a suicide prevention training. I hope many of you can come to that. We had Larry McNabb talk to us, I believe it was in April, and he was so good, and so many of you enjoyed listening to him that we were able to get him to come back to town again to talk to us again in November 14th from 1 until 3. And he's going to do a 2-hour training on suicide prevention. So if you have any interest in that area, not an interest in suicide, of course, but in trying to help someone maybe who might be at that stage, or just learning more about suicide and the prevention of suicide, which is, I think, a big, important and meaningful topic. Please do try to come. We will also be distributing our food, our groceries at that time to those of you who have signed up for our food distribution program. So that would be a good time to get your groceries and just come and be with some others. All right. Well, that's it for the announcements. Yes, it will be here. So as soon as you know you're coming or can make it, just RSVP for that.
What's the date on that?
November 14th. It's a Tuesday. It's a Tuesday from 1 to 3, and it's here. Okay. Yes.
Are they going to be doing the network stuff for November?
Yes, November the 8th, we have a small group mentoring meeting. And we have invited Emily Elliott from Lextran Wheels, Lextran, and she's going to talk to us about the Wheels changes in their policies and procedures. And so we have a special guest for our mentoring meeting in November.
Actually, they distributed a user guide with new stuff, and if anybody needs it in larger font or an audio version, we can help with that. So let us know. But she'll be reviewing and going through the writer's guide for people that might have questions or struggle with reading it or understanding it or have questions. So she'll be reviewing that. So if you use Wheels and you want an audible version or larger print version of that user guide ahead of time, let me know. This is Teresa. Let me or Susan know so we can get that to you.
Yes, especially if you're a Wheels rider and you might not have gotten that yet. Yeah, you need to, if you want to review it before the meeting, that might be good. If you haven't read it yet, if you got it in the mail and just haven't gotten around to reading it, or having trouble accessing it, then you might want to come to that meeting, November 8th. So thanks for asking about that. We'll still have the other, for November and December, we'll still have our mentoring groups, our small groups, and we will still have assistive technology, as far as I know, that Sam does. So you might want to come to those as well.
And wood turning in December.
Oh, wood turning, what year, what month? December, but not November. Okay, yeah, the wood turning, which is if you want to learn the craft of wood turning, which is awesome. Richard is over that. So that's a one day program, or one afternoon for an hour program in November. I mean, in December. I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Okay. Any other questions before? Yes, Bill.
We still gonna have White Cane Day for the end of the year.
I don't think we made any arrangements to doing a White Cane Day for this year. White Cane Day is October the 15th. It is now October the 25th. No, we do that ever so often. We don't usually have a big celebration every year for White Cane. So. Excuse me.
Question. Do they still do it over at the Capitol every year? For White Cane?
Does anybody know the answer to that? Do they do a White Cane celebration at the Capitol?
They, the governor signed a proclamation that October is Blindness and Visual Impairment Awareness Month in Kentucky. And Risa and I attended that along with some people from Visually Impaired Preschool Services. And we were there for the media coverage for the White Cane. It was on October 9th, and it was in honor of White Cane Safety Day and World Sight Day and the other many dates that fall upon in October for Blind and Visual Impairment Awareness Month.
Okay, we have special guests here to talk to us today. And they're not here physically, but they are on Zoom. So they will be, you will be, if you're sighted, you can see them up on our TV. Otherwise, they will be piped in auditorily. And we are going to welcome Andy Burstein, who has started his own business called Accessible Pharmacy, which is a way you can get your medicines through the mail, packaged in such a way that they are accessible to the blind and visually impaired. There is no extra charge for that kind of packaging through Accessible Pharmacy. So Andy is our special guest, and along with him is Ed Henkler. And Ed Henkler has started his website called The Blind Guide. So he will be adding to the conversation as well. And he is a big supporter of Andy's efforts to get this accessible pharmacy better known throughout the country. Okay, so if they're ready, we can begin. Welcome. Let's give them a welcome hand.
So this is Ed Henkler. Can you hear me clearly?
Take it away, Andy.
Hold on one second, guys.
Okay.
It's a big face with the down screen. Go ahead. We're ready for you guys whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay, sounds great. I'm only going to speak very briefly because today's star really is Andy. He has an amazing resource, but I wanted to explain how I got involved with all of this. I am sighted, but my mom lost her sight a long time ago, back in the, excuse me, the 1990s. She lost it to age-related macular degeneration at a time where there really weren't any, there were no cures. There were some ways to deal with it with the laser cauterization, but nothing like the amazing resources that are available now to defer the loss of sight. And I took that journey with her. I'm an only child. My dad had died relatively early. And when she lost her sight, she was in Florida. We were in the Philly suburbs. And we moved her up where we were, found an association for the blind, and they literally restored her independence to the point that she traveled outside the country for the first time in her life. Became a speaker for the association, used to take public transit all over. That's what took me into this journey. I watched her overcome what all of you understand is a challenging transition. And I watched her not just overcome it, but learn to thrive with all of it. So I joined that Association for the Blind board. I was board president for a while. And then since then, I've gotten very involved in startups developing assistive technology for the blind, helping people who are blind and seeking meaningful employment. I've been able to get several people their first jobs, and also just helping people thrive. And that's from a caregiver perspective. So helping the caregiver understand what they should do and helping those of you who are losing your sight. I've known Andy for quite a while right now, and I can only say I wish what he provided was available when my mom was alive, because she struggled a lot with her medicine management. She took Xanax as one example and had Xanax withdrawal, and it just led to a lot of problems that eventually meant she couldn't live independently. What Andy does, I think, would have stopped all of that, or facilitated her being able to manage all of it. So I love what he does. I think it's incredibly meaningful, and he already has and will continue to touch an awful lot of lives. And with that in mind, I'm gonna turn over to Andy so he can tell you about what he does.
Oh, thank you so much, Ed. Thank you for that warm introduction. I appreciate it. I'm also a very huge fan of Ed's, so just to put that out there for everyone. Teresa and Susan, how are you guys? Thank you so much for including us today. We really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone. I wish we had gotten the memo about costumes. Ed and I would have gotten dressed up as well. I don't have a costume in mind, but I would have put some thought into it. That being said, before I jump in, how long do we be speaking for?
How long, Susan?
I had to go.
30 to 40 minutes
All right, perfect, cool.
with question and answer.
All right, sounds good. All right, so what I figured I could do is I could tell everyone, for those of you who are not familiar with us, I'll share with you about how our company got started, share a little bit about what we do, and I'll also share about some of the things that we're working on, as we move forward and grow. So we are Accessible Pharmacy Services. We're a home delivery pharmacy service. We specialize in patients who are blind and have low vision. We're the only provider of its kind in the world, and we're the largest blind-owned healthcare company in America. Everything that we do is about merging healthcare and accessibility and empowering patients who work with us to manage their medication and manage their diabetes more independently, with less stress, and to ultimately live healthier lives. Our company is relatively new. We launched the company. The idea started about 6 years ago. I started the business with my business partner, Alex. Alex is blind. I did not know Alex too well when I first connected up with him. We knew each other through Little League. Our kids used to play ball together. And at the time, I was working for a healthcare marketing firm, and we were just developing accessibility strategies in general for our clients. And I was like, I'm going to reach out to that blind guy from Little League, pick his brain a little bit. So I reached out to Alex, and we got together for coffee, and I got to hear Alex's story. He was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa in his teens. By the time he turned 25, he had lost all of his usable eyesight. He's from Philadelphia originally. I'm in Philadelphia. He's from Philadelphia. He moved back to Philadelphia. He got an MBA, and ultimately he earned a PhD from Drexel University. He was the first blind adult to get a PhD from Drexel. And he wrote his doctoral dissertation on the consumer experience in healthcare for blind consumers. And from that, so here I am thinking like, oh, hang out with Alex. I'll learn some stuff from him. We'll talk about baseball. We'll talk about our kids. We'll have coffee. You know, little did I know that Alex is arguably the foremost expert in the world on the consumer experience for blind consumers, specifically when it comes to healthcare. And so this one-time cup of coffee became a pretty regular occurrence. And we ultimately wrote a business plan about, you know, merging healthcare and accessibility, about creating a healthcare company from the ground up that focused on making healthcare experience as accessible as possible to the blind community. We launched our company in April 2020, like the same day that we started our company, the pandemic started. But nevertheless, we plowed forward, and fast forward to today, we now have 65 employees. 25% of our staff are blind themselves. We are licensed to provide medication and services in 29 states, as well as Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, and Kentucky. And we're growing. And what's cool is our growth comes a few ways. We're growing geographically. You know, we're moving into new markets, moving into new states. But the exciting growth that we have is coming from feedback that we get from our patients. On a daily basis, our patients, who not only benefit from the services that we provide, our patients almost function as our extended market research team. Every day we get calls from patients saying like, I learned about a new app. I learned about a new solution. I learned about some new technology. I learned about some new resources that help individuals who are blind manage their healthcare better. In addition, because of what we do, we're the only company who does what we do. Other populations have gravitated towards us. And while our core competency is still working with patients who are blind and have low vision, we now work in the deaf community. We work with patients who have spinal cord injuries or have other paralysis issues. We work with people with cognitive and intellectual disabilities, refugees and asylum seekers. And the common denominators with each of these populations is they each have their own challenges with access to healthcare. There are barriers with each of these groups. And as a company, what we do is we work with individuals on a one-on-one basis. Think of us almost as like a concierge pharmacist. We get on the phone with people, we have a conversation with them, we figure out what their challenges are with medication, with diabetes management. And we assemble a collection of solutions that empower people to do it independently. It starts with a phone call. You can just call us. We have a toll-free number. We have a 10-minute conversation where we capture the insurance information. We discuss the challenges related to medication. We identify what's working for people, what's not working for people. We get the information about all the prescribers and all the medications people are taking. And then we go to work. It takes us about a day. We will contact the insurance company to confirm eligibility. We'll reach out to the doctors to get some feedback from them. It's very important. We have our pharmacists review everyone's medication. We find out that more than 50% of the time, someone may be getting prescribed, 5 different prescription medications, and they may have diabetes, they may be insulin dependent. But on top of that, they're self-medicating. They're taking a multivitamin, and they're taking vitamin C, and they're taking fish oil, and they're taking some roots and herbs that they learned about on television, and they drink coffee, and they drink alcohol. And you put all this stuff together, and it quite often can create unintended side effects, or it can impact the body's ability to properly absorb the medication. And so, assuming everything checks out, we'll call the patient back, tweak some medications with the prescribers, with the doctors. And the next time you're due for your meds, they'll show up on your front door. Everything that we do that makes us accessible, and I'll talk about some of the things in a minute, are accessible packaging, accessible labeling, accessible support and education, home delivery, is all free of charge. We make our money by being reimbursed by insurance companies. In certain states, we get subsidization by the Department of Aging, the Department of Health. We get some funding from the Center for Disease Control. but there's no additional burden on a patient besides copays that are dictated by insurance companies to work with us. So what do? We provide everything that you can find at a traditional pharmacy, and we deliver it to your home in an accessible way. We have prescription medication, over-the-counter medication, vitamins and supplements, small accessible medical devices, a full range of diabetic supplies, controlled substances, etc. What makes us unique is how we deliver this to the patient. As I mentioned, it starts with a phone call. So we have a toll-free number. It's the easiest way to get in touch with us. Teresa and Susan have our contact information. But you can also reach us if you have an iPhone. You can ask that woman SIRI. I'm not going to say it because it'll trigger my phone. You can just say, hey, call Accessible Pharmacy, and it'll put you right through to us. You can ask Alexa to call Accessible Pharmacy, and it'll be put right through to us. We are also the healthcare partner for Be My Eyes. And we can be found in the specialized help section. And we use Be My Eyes for a lot of things. We have those initial conversations with people using Be My Eyes. We help train people on how to use different medical devices and diabetes devices. On a daily basis, we help individuals in the blind community and low vision community do home COVID testing, do home pregnancy testing, identify pills, identify side effects of medication and remedies. So it's free of charge. You can contact us through Be My Eyes. We do work with a collection of deaf patients, and we use VRS. For those of you who aren't familiar with VRS, it's essentially on-demand sign language interpreters. It's a federally funded program, and essentially the way it works is, so for example, if I were deaf and I wanted to get in touch with Ed, I, using either a smartphone, tablet, computer, would contact one of these VRS, which stands for Video Relay Services. I would contact one of these operators. I would sign to that operator that I would like to contact Ed. That operator would call Ed on the phone and say, hey, Ed, I'm sign language interpreter X. I have Andy on the other line with me. He's signing to me. He is deaf. So I will be interpreting between the two of you. And it makes a much more fluent conversation. We do use a similar solution to work with patients who speak different languages. In-house, we work with patients. We're able to support patients in-house with not only English, but Spanish, Russian, Ukrainian, and Hindi. But we have a third-party language translator who can join us on calls, and we can support patients. And up to date, we've worked with patients in 80 different languages using that service. We have a whole collection of free accessible packaging. So rather than you getting your pills in different bottles and having to organize it yourself, we can send it to you in pre-sorted disposable pill organizers. And we can mix prescription meds, over-the-counter meds, vitamins and supplements. We have different size and shape ones too, depending on the quantity of meds that you take, the amount of times during the day you take your medication. We have individual daily packets. They're like 2-inch by 2-inch plastic baggies that come pre-sorted with all your meds. We have different size and shape bottles. So we have small bottles with childproof lids, but we also have large oversized bottles with pop-off lids. So for someone who has Parkinson's or arthritis, it's a little bit easier to open the bottles if you prefer bottles. We're actually working to try to develop some packaging with Temple University's Disability Studies program to create special packaging for people with spinal cord injuries. It's a little bit more complicated than we thought, but we're holding some more focus groups in December. We're hoping to get a little bit further along with that. We also have single liquid doses of infant medication so that parents or grandparents who are blind safely and easily administer medication to infants without having to deal with the challenges of measuring liquids or administering the medication. On top of all of our medication packaging, we have a whole collection of accessible labeling. So we have traditional text labels, and we can do that in 200 different languages. We have large font labels for those who would benefit from that with different color contrast backgrounds. We have a grade 1 Braille and a contracted Braille embosser, so we can print labels in Braille. We have a collection of talking labels. We have our own that we've developed. But we've also developed, we work with Script Talk, which is a company made by a company called Envision America. And they were real pioneers in this space. They've been doing it for like 20 years. We work with the Way Around company, using their weight tag labels. For those of you who aren't familiar, I'll do a quick demonstration about what a talking label sounds like. These are all free, and we can put them on any of the packaging I just mentioned. So here's a quick example of a talking label.
Patient name, Jane Washington. Medication, furosemide 40 milligrams. Instructions, take 1 tablet a mouth once daily. Quantity, 60. Fill date, February 16, 2023. Expiration date, February 15.
All right, you get the gist of it. And it reads through all the information. It's great for someone who has just recently lost their eyesight, someone who may have some cognitive disabilities that needs some reminders about what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. Once again, they're free of charge. A few other things about us real quickly. We do run a whole series of free educational programs. The ideas for these programs, they're all webinars, and they're all archived on our website. Our website's accessiblepharmacy.com. It's a screen reader friendly website. It has large fonts. But these things are all archived on our website, and the ideas come to us from our patients. So I'll give you a few examples. We run an ongoing series of diabetes webinars focusing on blindness and diabetes with the University of Pennsylvania's Diabetes Education Center. So we discuss things such as continuous glucose monitoring systems, insulin, strategies, et cetera, et cetera. We ran a program this year on glaucoma and blindness. We ran a program last year with the Chicago Lighthouse focusing on different strategies for administering eye drops. We ran a cool program last year focusing on breast cancer information for women who are blind. One of the big takeaways from that is a pretty explicit instruction for how to do a self-exam for a woman who may be blind. Very important. In full disclosure, my wife is a breast cancer survivor, and thank God she's fine. But there's so much information that you need to learn and absorb, and self-exams are a great preventative thing that a woman can do to avoid and prevent breast cancer. So we encourage everyone to check that out. It was just mentioned a few minutes ago, but before Ed and I jumped in, that you have someone coming in November speaking about suicide prevention. We ran a really cool webinar at the end of September. It was about blindness and mental health. And we had a great collection of speakers. One of the speakers was from the 988 hotline, which is a national hotline. It's the suicide prevention hotline. It's a national network of social workers that can provide free. It's interesting. It used to only be about suicide prevention. During the pandemic, it got expanded to provide all mental health services. So you may want to check that out. We also had someone from an organization called Eye to Eye, which is a nonprofit organization out of Rutgers University. That it's a peer-to-peer mental health support line. It's also free. It's exclusively for the blind community. We had Pam Shaw from the ACB. She is the chairwoman of the ACB's mental health committee. And she spoke about resources that are available in the blind community around mental health. We had our chief medical officer speak about genomic testing, psychotropic drugs, drugs used in mental health. And finally, we had this really cool woman. Her name's Kim Dobbs. Kim is a psychologist. She's a very large therapy practice in Philadelphia. And Kim is blind herself. And she spoke about just mental health 101 and therapy 101 and how to advocate for yourself if you are blind, if you have low vision, if you're new to therapy, or just in general, navigating the world of mental health, as a blind individual. Finally, we host the Blind Health Expo, which is a free program. It's on December 1st this year. It's a cool program. The goal of it was, it's virtual. It's an opportunity for groups and organizations that are in the blind community, that serve the blind community, that provide solutions for the blind community, to learn from each other, but also connect to consumers and government agencies and nonprofit organizations. Last year we had 118 exhibitors and we had thousands of attendees. So I encourage everyone to sign up and check it out. It's free. You can browse the virtual booths and learn lots of information. A few of the things of particular interest before I stop talking and open up the floor to questions. We just got a grant from the Center for Disease Control to train people on our team with disabilities to be diabetes lifestyle coaches, and basically to provide virtual telehealth solutions for people with pre-diabetes, people who have diabetes, just about how to live healthier lives. Initially, the CDC has us doing it in Pennsylvania and Delaware. We have 2 women on our team who are blind, who have been trained to be these coaches, to provide these services. And 1 person who is deaf, who's going to be he's going through training right now to be able to provide these services in ASL. And we're kicking off that cohort in the winter. Our hope is that as we build that out, we'll be coming to Kentucky soon. So we'll keep everyone updated. We'll let Teresa and Susan know when we're ready. We're pretty excited about that. It, checks a lot of boxes for us that are important to us. 53% of our patients have diabetes. I don't know what it's like in Kentucky, but in Pennsylvania, diabetes is a massive epidemic. It helps us to increase and support blind employment. We learn a great deal from it as well. And it's a better way for us to support our patients and the people who we work with. We've won a collection of awards that we're pretty excited about. It's not like we need awards, but it is pretty cool to be acknowledged by important groups in the blind community. We won the federal government's award for advancement in accessibility. We won the NFB's Dr. Jacob Bolotin Award for the work that we do with blindness and healthcare. We won the Helen Keller National Center Awards Accessibility Award for our work in the deaf-blind community. So these are just some examples. And finally, the article is a little old now, but it's still pretty cool. The New York Times wrote a feature article about us, which is pretty cool. Like, we tell our story all day long. We love our story. We love telling our story. But hearing like a journalist from the New York Times, of that caliber of journalist, like tell our story back to us was pretty cool. So that being said, oh, by the way, if anyone has a question here and it's a healthcare question and you're not comfortable sharing it in this group setting, my personal email address is andy@accessiblepharmacy.com. I'm not a healthcare provider, but I'll pass it on to a healthcare provider, and they will circle back around with you. I encourage you to all sign up for Ed's newsletter. Ed is 1 degree of separation from everyone in the blind community, and he has a wealth of knowledge and information, and it's pretty incredible content that he creates and the networks that he has in this space. So check out our website. It's accessiblepharmacy.com. If you are interested in becoming a patient of ours, it's pretty cool. You will definitely benefit from our services, but it also benefits us and the rest of the blind community. Every time we work with a patient who is blind, and we help them overcome a challenge or live more independently or live a healthier life, we learn, and we're able to take that knowledge and plug it into other people in the blind community. So by becoming a patient of ours, you not only benefit from us, you also help us benefit the rest of the community. So please give us a call and try us out. There's no charge to work with us. We appreciate your time. So Teresa and Susan, thank you again very much. I'm going to stop talking, and Ed and I are available we're here to answer questions. So thank you again, everyone.
I would also like to just mention that we are recording this for YouTube. So if anybody has any questions that are of a personal nature, if you could just email the gentleman here, that would be probably the better way to handle personal questions. Sorry.
Cool, thanks.
Can you give your phone number, please?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
please.
sure. It's toll free 888-633-7007. That's 888-633-7007.
And I'll put that as well as your contact information in the video description that we're going to post to YouTube, if that's all right.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you.
I forget.
And once again, our website's accessiblepharmacy.com.
Andy, this is Susan. I don't know if you mentioned this or not. It might have gone by me, but you also help people obtain a script talk if that's what they want to use.
Oh yeah, totally. So yeah, we can put the Script Talk stickers on any of our products. We can send you a link to the app and help you download it on your phone, or we can coordinate getting you a free device. It's like a scanning device. It's about the size of a clock radio. You simply rest it on your desk and you scan any package, whether it's a bottle or one of our other packages. You scan it and it reads all the medication information out loud.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any questions for Teresa?
Do you all help with pet medications? If I'm blind and I have a guide dog or diabetic cat, can you help with that?
Absolutely. We do have pet medication. We recommend if you have like a temporary remedy, like if you need like a flea and tick collar or a heartworm remedy, speak with your veterinarian about it. They usually have coupons. They may have some in stock, and they can identify the best fit for your pet. But if your pet has chronic medication needs, the benefit from coming to us is we can package your pet or your guide dog medication in the same accessible packaging and labeling that we do with human medication. So, for example, we can put Script Talk on your dog's medication so that you can understand exactly how to administer it and understand the medication in general. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Is that the same for like diabetic insulin for a cat if they need like a half a unit or a quarter unit?
Absolutely.
Can you package that?
Absolutely.
Wow, awesome.
Okay, we have about five more minutes. If anybody else has any questions for Andy about accessible pharmacy. Are you even thinking about maybe using it? And do you have any questions if you do, that he could answer? Okay, Shantana?
How do we find Ed's newsletter?
How do we find Ed's newsletter?
Oh,
Did you get that? How do we find Ed's newsletter?
I did, and I'll put this in the chat also, but my website is called The Blind Guide, TheBlindGuide.com, and you can subscribe there. I do a weekly blog post on thriving with vision loss, but I also talk about some assistive technology that's being developed, and Andy's company has been featured on there also. So it's just, as I mentioned, for me, it's the perspective of a caregiver, but I absolutely believe that you can thrive with vision loss, and it's my goal to help more people do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? Okay, I think that's it. Oh,
Explain about the product and scanning your medication.
I can't hear you, Bill. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, you mentioned about the clock, if I'm correct, as far as that, scanning your medication.
The Script Talk? Yeah. You want more information on the Script Talk?
What's that?
We have a unit we could show you if you want.
Yeah,
Look at it
Sam
later.
has one in his office and
Yeah.
he can demonstrate that to you. But this company, Accessible Pharmacy, can get you in touch with the way to get your own Script Talk. And you just take your bottle of that you've been prescribed and you sit it on the device and it will start reading to you what your medicine is. So it gives you a lot more independence. Okay.
Hey Siri.
All right. I think that's it for questions. All right. So we just want to thank you all for presenting to us again, and you all now know that you can get more information just with a phone call to Accessible Pharmacy, and they will work with you on an individual basis to help determine how you would want your
medicine packaged if you choose to go that route. Okay? All right, well, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day. Ed, it's always a pleasure.
Likewise, Andy, and the same to all of you. Thanks, Teresa and Susan, for making this possible.
All right, bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you guys so much.
If you all can just keep that up for one more minute, we have to do our survey questions. If you could just stay put, we have to first take account of how many people are here, so it helps if you don't move. And then just hold on for one more minute while we ask questions. You gotta go to the restroom, okay? We'll let you go for that.
All right, thank you.
We don't wanna have to. Don't wanna have to clean up the mess. What, 25?
I'll ask you questions.
And I'm gonna go back here. All right, I need to ask you all a question to raise your hand. Did you learn anything new today that would help you live more independently? If you learned something new today, please raise your hand.
She was asking about down there.
That might help you be more independent. Everybody to this. And raise